I also want to let you know there's a recording in progress.
Well, thanks.
So be aware of that. And also, I want to thank David Gross, who is our HPDE coordinator, for putting on this class, as well as Patty Kelly, and she is our chief driving instructor. And the information that they impart to us is invaluable, and I'm going to turn it over to you. So do your thing.
Okay, well, thank you, Crystal.
You're
I'm
welcome.
Patty Kelly. I've been doing HPDE since 2012. Became an instructor maybe 10 years ago or so. And the best friends I have, I've met at the track. It's just the best sport in the history of the world. And I'm excited to share a little bit about this passion of mine with you all. Just tell you a little bit along with David and answer any questions that you have. David, do you want to go ahead and introduce yourself?
Oh, I'll do it very briefly. David Gross. I'm what in any other region in the world would be driver education chairman. In Hill Country, we have to have a weird title, but anyway, or I'm the organizer of the driver education events for Hill Country, and have been doing DEs since 1995.
Well,
And Hill Country did its first DE in 2000, which a lot of people don't know. And we've been doing DEs ever since 2000.
where
First,
was that one held?
the first one we did in 2000 was at Motorsport Ranch Crescent.
Huh.
And then we sort of oozed into doing them at Texas World Speedway. We got one weekend a year. Lone Star Region decided 6 events was one too many, so they gave us one, which was really just like a wonderful fundraiser for Hill Country because they had just such a well-oiled machine. And a third of the instructors were already Hill Country instructors, so it was a natural deal.
Yeah.
But anyway, I echo Patty's comments about my closest friends or my track friends. It really is a wonderful sport, and encourage those who've not done it to come out. I don't know what that was, but Patty, take it away
Yeah.
whenever you're ready.
I
Uh,
think, Patty, before you go, let's remind everybody to mute so that we don't hear your telephone conversation. That would be great. Thank you.
awesome. Thanks for that, Crystal. So, what we'll do is just go through the agenda, David and me together, and we're happy to field questions as we go. We might come to a point with a question, we say, we're about to cover that in something else. If not, we're happy to cover it right then. And then at the end, we'll have time for in all of the questions that you could possibly have. So we're going to keep it very, very informal. And so for the agenda, it's just really talking to you about all aspects of HPDE. Starting with what is high performance driver's education. And we're really going to put the emphasis on the DE part, the driver's education. We'll talk about all of the who runs it, who attends, what's it like when you show up, and so on and so forth. And so driver's education, this is really where you have a car that you're super excited about and you want to learn how to drive it and drive it in let's everyone mute, please, and thank you. Um, so you're going to learn how to drive your car. We'll have both classroom instruction and in-car instruction. And so, especially as a novice who shows up for the first time or first few times, you will have someone in the right seat with you, talking to you through a communicator through your helmets, and you'll be learning how to drive your car. We will push you to the extent that you want to be and um, can can handle it safely. We'll push you. We'll just really meet you where you are with regard to learning about your car's performance. Every DE that we participate in, it's on a paved track. So we've gotten the question before, is it dirt tracks? Is it, am I going to be in gravel? Whatever. No, it's a very, especially in the case of Circuit of the Americas, it's a very finely paved track. So no worries about that. We have corner workers, and that is the corner workers are situated in different areas around the track, and they communicate with us drivers via flags, and they will wave different color flags depending on what's happening on the track in front of that corner worker. And it's crucial to learn to recognize where those corner workers are and what do those flags mean. And so what do I need to do as a driver in response to whatever color flag we're seeing. Something else that we might cover later, I'm not sure, but I'll go ahead and cover it now. We also have to communicate with each other on the track. And we do that by driving with our windows down, and we do hand signals out of the car to tell the drivers around us to pass us on one way or the other, or that we're going into pits or whatever. So there's a lot of communication going on between the corner workers and the drivers in the cars. And on a typical HPDE day, it's usually 4 sessions, 2 before lunch, 2 after lunch, and they're usually between 20, 28 minutes, somewhere in there. And so very simply, who runs these events? PCA volunteers. Everyone you see associated with the HPDE is a volunteer. There's the DE chair, David Gross. He organizes everything. He's, in formal terms, he's the big cheese. Without David, nothing happens. So he for everything from negotiating the contract with Circuit of the Americas to handling issues there at the event. He is the man in charge. There's the chief driving instructor. I'm honored to be in that role right now for Schnellfest. And I manage things that anything that's going on track, who gets on track, what run group they're in, dealing with difficulties that happen on the track and so forth. And then we have an amazing team of coaches. One thing that I'm super proud of with Schnellfest is all of our coaches are National Porsche Club of America trained coaches. And they have been we follow the minimum standards for Porsche Club of America training, and then we add a lot more to it. And David can attest to that. We just had an instructor training session a couple of weeks ago, and when someone passes one of our Porsche Club of America instructor training weekends, we have a lot of confidence in them. So I'm super, super proud of that. You want to go, David?
Sure. I followed that instruction about muting so well, I had to remember to unmute myself. Who attends? A lot of folks, people who would like to drive their cars in the controlled environment of a road course racetrack. In other words, you'd like to drive your car perhaps at speeds that would be faster than you could drive on the highway, but you want to do it in an environment where there won't be people pulling out from side streets or lights turning yellow and that sort of thing. So everybody's going in the same direction. And at COTA in particular, the track is engineered for safety. You have runoff, at all of the turns where a very fast portion leads to a turn. It's tremendously safe. People who want to become better drivers on the road, learning how to drive on the track will make you a better driver on the road. Your vision will be better. You'll look further ahead of you. Your awareness of cars in front of you will be much better. Some people come because they're interested in a gateway to competitive driving. I don't know if y'all are aware of this, but Porsche Club of America has a wonderful club racing program. And it started off with the idea that people should be able to take their daily driver Porsche, drive it to the racetrack and race it. Well, over about 30 years, that has evolved to where the club race cars are yeah, pretty modified. But still, we have a wonderful, and it's a door-to-door racing program, and we have 26 club races per year. I've talked to people who say they're going to retire and then they're just going to get a motor home and a trailer and they're just going to tour the country going from club race to club race. People who want to learn about the technology of their cars. You know, I attended my first DE in February of '95 in a car that I'd owned for 2 or 3 years. When I drove home, I remember before leaving talking to my instructor, and I said, you know, I have driven this car this weekend. I've had it do things that are double what I thought it was capable of doing. I'm just so impressed with my car. And he said, well, that's pretty cool, David. He said, you've probably used about 65% of your car's performance envelope. So think about that when you drive home to Austin, David Gross. And I did. So you get to really appreciate what your car is capable. And then the last thing, want to enjoy their cars with friends, new and old, because this is a tremendously friendly, tremendously supportive group. You know, we're all out there doing the same thing. We're all learning. You have fast drivers of slow cars. You have slow drivers of fast cars. But we're all dealing with the same sport. We all want to get better, you know? So it's really, really fun. Patty, what's the next one? I'll do this one and then I'll pass it back to you. Is it safe? Yes, it's extremely safe. Driver measures, helmets are required. And in fact, we can talk about this. The Snell Foundation, a safety foundation that rates helmets, every 5 years, they come out with a new helmet uh, uh, certification. But anyway, what we require is a 2015, a 2020, or a 2025 Snell rated helmet. The 2015 helmets will be good until July 1st, 2026, at which time they'll go poof and you'll need a 2020 or a 25. We have passing rules. In other words, this is not just yeehaw, let's all go drive on the racetrack. Passing is done in passing zones, in straightaways mostly. And the real important rule, passing rules vary by run group, but the important thing to know is passing happens only with permission, okay? If you're the car being passed, you give a signal. Pass me left, pass me right. Or maybe you don't feel comfortable with giving a pass at that particular point on the track. You don't give one. The car overtaking you understands, they back off. Another safety thing is we have the two spin rule, which means if in one day you spin twice, and by the way, this is kind of a product mostly of the 90s and the early 2000s. The cars are so good nowadays, spins are much, much, much rarer than they used to be. But anyway, the two spin rule is if you spin twice in the same day, your day's over. You know, you're just driving too hard, asking more of your car than it's capable of doing. If you come back the second day and you spin again, your weekend is over. Okay. And we do this just to sort of make sure people that small group of people who might be affected by kind of the red mist syndrome. Uh, I see a question, does the spin count if it's a result of oil on the track? No, that would not count. We'll need an affidavit from a notary public that the spin actually was caused by oil on the track.
Hey,
And
David, your lawyer is showing.
oh, I'm sorry. I'll stop. No. But you get the point. Bad attitude rule. Occasionally, and this happens so rarely. The 99% of the people are just delightful, and it's so fun. It's fun to socialize. It's fun to be on the track with them. It's fun to follow them and learn what they do that's faster than you are. But we have occasionally had to let somebody go home. Strict enforcement, we do strictly enforce our safety rules. Run groups are based on experience and skill. In other words, the run, if you come to your first DE, you'll be in the novice run group where you're with nothing but novices. You'll all learn together. You'll all have an instructor. You'll all have helmet communicators. Then there's intermediate, then there's advanced one and advanced two. But we group by experience so that the groups are more homogeneous. The speeds are more homogeneous, the groups flow better, and it just makes for a better educational experience and more fun. So anyway, what's next, Patty? I'll finish with safety, technical safety inspection. Every car has to have a tech inspection done. Uh, it has to just be done by any professional automotive shop. It could be the Porsche dealer. It doesn't have to be the Porsche dealer. There are lots of shops in town that do it. They check things like your brake pad thickness, which ought to be at least 70% to start a weekend at COTA. They check your tires, check that within the last year you've had your oil, your brake fluid changed. It says we have a very low percentage of incidents. We have an extraordinarily low percentage of incidents. Um, and track insurance is available. Patty and I both have relatively new cars, and we both insure our cars on track. And those policies are readily available. They are generally a 10% deductible policy. So if you have a $100,000 car and just imagine you destroyed it, you would eat $10,000 and they would pay you 90. And for example, my car, which I insure at a value of $124,000, it usually costs me for a 2-day weekend about 800 to insure it for that weekend. So, okay, Patty, you want to take over?
Yeah, and I'll add a little something to the technical safety inspection. If any of you are planning on registering for our April event, you will get the tech inspection form in an email along with your registration confirmation. At some point, you'll get an email that has it, and there's a deadline on there to get your tech inspection form. The main reason for that deadline is we want to give you time to get your car teched, we call it, in time to fix something if something is found. Because if you get it done 2 days before the event, the tech inspection, and they find something wrong, chances are they're not going to have time to get parts in, get your car repaired, and get you in there. And guys, there's not a refund for such things. So when you sign up for a DE, please get your tech inspection done earlier rather than later, just to make sure you have time to take care of anything that might come up. And on the track insurance, if you really get bitten by the bug, like David and I did years and years and years ago, there are different kinds of track insurance. I have a policy that covers me for a year, and I don't have to let them know, oh, I'm doing Schnellfest this weekend. I could do 52 events a year, and I'm covered for all 52 events. So it's less money per event the more I do, which is my justification for doing a lot more track events, because I'm saving so much money on that track insurance. But just, there are different options out there. Yeah, it's not going to hurt your car. I assume you're considering doing this in a Porsche because you're at this event with the Porsche Club. But our cars were made for this sort of stuff. I love this picture that we have here. Gosh, David, neither of those two guys own their cars anymore. That's sadness. But anyway, these are two dear friends of ours on track in very old cars, and they have been tracking those cars have been tracked since they were brand new, and they're still going strong with their new owners. So our cars are made for it. Of course, we have to maintain them. We need to get our tech inspections before every event and make sure everything is tightened up and ready to go. But our cars will be fine. We go through tires and brake pads. We go through a lot of tires and a lot of brake pads, but you get a feel. You'll be able to, over time, assess your own tires and when you need new ones, and the same thing with your brake pads. And two very, very important parts of getting ready for a DE. You're going to see brand new Porsches out there and some very old ones. And it doesn't void the warranty, by taking your car on a track. It's not going to void the warranty. That's a question that we get a lot. And any make or model is allowed on track as long as it passes tech inspection. And we're even at the Porsche Club events, it's mostly Porsches, but there are a ton of Mustangs and Miatas and a few Ferraris and a few, all kinds of different cars are in there. So as long as it passes tech inspection, we're going to be good. Convertibles are fine as long as it has the factory rollover protection. At Schnellfest, we insist that you ride with the tops up rather than down. And my guess is on that particular track, you might do 3 laps at speed and then come in and put your top back up, because there is a lot of debris going, little bits of rubber, we call them marbles, are flying. And I don't think it would be a very comfortable ride with the top down anyway. And no modifications are required. You can take your car right out of the box, so to speak, and take it on the track. And so you go ahead and sign up for your first DE. What can you expect? The main thing you can expect are 2 very early mornings. You're going to get up early. Our drivers' meetings are usually at 7:15 or 7:30, one or the other. And you really need to get there well before that so you can kind of claim your space out in the paddock or in your garage, get your car ready. And so it's going to be very early. I've had students who say, oh yeah, well, I'm super excited about being in Austin. I'm going to meet all my buddies on 6th Street tonight. I'm like, oh, bless your heart. Tomorrow morning's going to be really, really hard for you. So, because usually, especially for a novice driver, their first weekend or two, the adrenaline alone will knock that driver out by 8 p.m. It's so taxing, but physically, but even more so mentally, that it's going to be very, very taxing. So we have early morning drivers meetings. You can either rent a garage, and what we do at COTA is a garage will comfortably hold 4 cars. So you can rent a quarter of a garage or just camp out in the paddock. and I don't mean literally camp out, but set up your car out in the paddock. And getting back to how friendly everyone is, if the weather becomes inclement, you can go to a stranger in a garage and, hey, can I store my stuff in here while it's raining or whatever? Or can I move my lawn chair in here and hang out for a while just to get out of the sun? We also always have an open loft area that's air conditioned or heated, whatever is required. And that's a place where you and your friends or family can go hang out for the day to get out of the elements. We have a group of volunteers called mentors, and we'll have a garage set up for them. And that's a place where you can go and get, if you need to borrow a torque wrench, or you need air for your tires, or you just need to talk to someone about what should my air pressures be, or my tire pressures, or just any other questions, you can go to the mentors and ask. You can always ask your instructor anything, or just anyone else you see. If you see another person walking around in an instructor shirt or someone else, just ask them. I can guarantee you'll get a positive response from that person. And I don't say that lightly. I've not witnessed anyone blow off a newer driver who had an honest question. So do that. You'll have a classroom session. You can of course ask that classroom driver. Stan, who teaches our classroom, has been a door-to-door racer for years and years and years and years, and he's still racing. And he's just a wealth of information there in the classroom. When the track goes cold at 5 o'clock on Saturday, we all go upstairs and have a social. It's at no charge to you and your friends who are there, kind of cheering you on. It's beer, wine, soft drinks, and heavy appetizers like sliders or something like that. It's always really good. It's very casual, and it's just a good time to talk to some more people, meet some more people, and share a little bit of excitement from your day. Already covered the friendliness and helpfulness. You will get a lot of support. You want to do this, David? You're muted.
Okay, what can I expect? As a novice driver, you'll be on track with another group of novice drivers. If it's your absolute first weekend, there may be lots of others who are there for their absolute first weekend. There may be a few who are there for their second novice weekend, maybe one or two for their third. In the novice run group, almost all the cars are absolutely stock. In other words, nobody has made any sorts of go fast modifications to them. And by the way, let me pull up my soapbox here. Your Porsche, just the way you bought it at the dealership, is perfectly appropriate for use in an HPDE. Uh, you don't need to put go fast parts on it. You don't need to modify it. What people end up doing is we do make a modification. If you're really into this, eventually people will go to a brake pad that gives more braking effect and lasts longer than do the stock pads. And then eventually people may go to a tire that gives better grip than a street tire. But in terms of, you don't need to fiddle with engine or just, and there's also, I always tell people, there's that old statement about you can't step in the same river twice. It's like, learn how to drive the car you own, Don't every time come to the track have messed with it or added something to make it whiz bang or faster. Learn how to drive your car, because the deal is, it's not about the cars. It's about learning how to drive the cars. Okay.
Hey, David, if
Yeah.
they had $1,000 burning a hole in their pocket and they wanted to spend it something track related. I don't know, something like a Hans.
Or something like a Simpson hybrid. Yeah, something like that.
Can you talk about that for just a minute?
Sure. The this is an item of safety gear. You people may remember 15 or 20 years ago, famous stock car driver Dale Earnhardt died in a wreck, and it was a basal skull fracture. Uh, since then, you've seen drivers in all sorts of racing uh, groups use what's called a Hans device, a head and neck device. And what it does is it prevents your head going forward such that you could have that kind of basal skull injury. But most Hans devices only work if you have those 5-point or 6-point harnesses in your car with a race seat that works with the race harness. If you're driving your street car, which has the 3-point harness, which, by the way, that's what I now do, there is a device called the Simpson Hybrid S, which costs about $1,100. You put it on, it's very comfortable to wear. It clicks to the same post that a Hans would click to, and it protects you in your car with your 3-point factory seatbelt. And if you get into a car that has the race harnesses and the race seat, it works there too. So it's a really beneficial item. And so if you're going to do this a lot, a hybrid S, I think, is a great idea. Better
And
better than a racing stripe guaranteed to make you go 10 miles per hour faster.
absolutely. And it's certainly not necessary at all in your first events, but just that, we see so many people just they're so excited and they want to just buy things for their car or whatever. And I encourage them to think about that if they're going to be doing this for any amount of time. And they do retail for 1,100 or so. I know two of my former students who I do have a soapbox about this, and I will talk to my students about them. I encourage them to set up on eBay a, a search alert. I forget exactly what it's called, but you put in Simpson Hybrid S size medium or large or whatever, and you'll get an alert. And both of them bought one. One was for $550, brand new, not a scratch on it. And another was, I think, $650 or so. So you can find them used, and I really encourage that. So
Right.
thanks for that.
That's a great thought. We do have classrooms for novice, classrooms for intermediate, classrooms for advanced. If you are a novice DE student, here's what you could expect. Gates open at 6 a.m. You probably came Friday afternoon and registered. Registration was probably open at 5 p.m. on Friday. But if you didn't, it's possible to scoot in the gate right after 6, go to registration, pick up your packet, which will have your windshield sticker and your wristband. And then there is a pre-grid tech inspection that you can line up for. They'll start doing it at 6:30. Then at 7:15, there's the driver's meeting, which I will do, and I'll take roll. And Crystal Zarpus, you better be there. No, I'm just kidding. But at that meeting takes about 15 or 20 minutes. So it'll be done about 7:35. Green drivers, novice drivers, at 8 a.m., you'll have your first novice classroom session. You'll have 2 classrooms on Saturday morning, 1 classroom Saturday afternoon. Green novice drivers, I keep saying green, that was always the green run group. Novice drivers, your first on track session is usually at 10. 9:30 or 10. But you'll and your second one is maybe 11:30, something like that. So you'll have two classrooms, two on-track sessions Saturday morning. We do parade laps at lunch, both Saturday and Sunday. You can do that. And then you'll have an afternoon, one classroom, two more on-track sessions Saturday afternoon. At 5 o'clock, when the track goes cold, as Patty mentioned, we have the social upstairs in Paddock Loft 205, which is one of those big, very luxurious paddock lofts where they have the Formula One folks. You look out at the main straight on one side, and that is a catered event by COTA's in-house catering company. Very good food, very fun. We also, one of our instructors owns an interest in Sixth Street Distillery. So we just prevail upon him to come and do a tasting of all of their different bourbons and delicious beverages. And just, I mean, just a whole lot of fun. Uh, PCA trained driving coach, as Patty mentioned, all of our we have a standard. And by the way, a lot of PCA regions don't have the standard. We do. Our standard is to instruct at one of our events, you have to be a registered approved PCA instructor. If you've been through the training program, you have a PCA instructor registration number. If people from Poughkeepsie say, hey, I'm an instructor and I want to come to your event and instruct, my answer is thank you. What's your instructor number? And I look them up on the PCA national website. And if they are, perfect. They're welcome to instruct. So it's just, we're particular, as they say. What's the next one, Patty? I might do too.
No?
Yeah. My grandchildren come out and see me along with their parents for a lot of these events. They're very welcome to come. Ear protection for kids is a good idea. It's fun just walking around, looking at the cars, talking to the drivers. We do parade laps at lunchtime, both Saturday and Sunday. And parade laps, as the name implies, there's no passing. It's like a parade in that sense. But you do get to drive on the actual racing surface, which is very fun. And my idea for parade laps is the Suburban with the mom and the dad and the three kids and the barking golden retriever. That's a perfectly appropriate parade lap car. The one thing I would say is, and I'll let you do the next one, Patty. Uh, we do require for everyone driving in the event, will they register? They pay the registration fee. They go through that. For everyone else, just the visitors, the people who want to come out and watch, my adult children and their grandchildren, they have to sign a waiver, the PCA waiver, to get in. And so we always have a gate attendant whose only job is administering the PCA waiver. So that's done. There's no registration fee. COTA has its own waiver. It's done with an iPhone app, which is very cool. Someday we'll do that, but not yet. But you'll need to sign both the PCA waiver and the COTA waiver to get in the gate. So, Patty, I'll turn it back to you.
Okay, so what you'll learn is we talked about the flag stations. You're going to learn all about that. The hot pits. How fast can you go in the hot pits? What do you do in the hot pits and so forth? You'll learn the fastest way around the track. You'll learn that from both your in-car coach and your classroom instructor. You'll learn lots of terminology. You'll learn the best line, quote unquote. Where do you turn in for a corner? What is the apex of the corner? Where do you track out to? How to brake. It's interesting. If you're going down a long straight, your braking technique is completely opposite of your braking on just the road or the highway here. You're driving around Austin. So here, you're used to braking softer, just brake soft and stay soft, or maybe if you need to at the very end, brake a little harder just to make sure you stop before that red light. Here it's the opposite. You're going to, hate to use the word slam, but slam on the brakes hard and then let off as you're making that corner. And it's just completely opposite. So it kind of messes with your muscle memory a little bit. You'll learn about the weight transfer of the car. I love this photo of our good friend Deanne Smith and the Miata she used to have. I mean, that's weight transfer right there. You're going to learn all about that and how the different inputs you put into the car impacts the weight transfer in your car. Learn car control. What happens if the back end starts to get a little wiggly? How do you compensate for that? What caused that? Do you want that to happen? Sometimes you do. And if you didn't, how do you keep it from happening again? And how to rotate your car. There are a lot of corners that are a little tighter, and you're going to get faster and faster. The better you're able to get that car to just rotate right around that corner. I'm getting excited just talking about it. So those are the types of things that you'll learn. And your next opportunity for learning it, April 11th and 12th. Registration opens at noon on February 25th. I have a feeling this one's going to sell out in all run groups, so I would encourage you to register early. And then we'll have another one November 21st and 22nd. That one is going to be held in conjunction with a club race, like David was talking about earlier, the club races. And so we have limited run groups available for the DE when we're running it alongside a club race. So the November event will only be for advanced. The decision hasn't yet been made which drivers, if any, in addition to advanced, will be running in November. Probably intermediate, instructed, and solo. That would be my guess. I think if David were guessing, he'd say the same, but we really haven't had that discussion and come up with exactly what's going to happen there. So if you're a novice driver, your only chance in 2026 at COTA is going to be to register for the April 11th and 12th. And so you've got options. You can register for the full DE and have an instructor assigned to you for the entire weekend, which is incredibly exciting and fun. Or if you're not quite ready to do that, you can just come out and visit. We welcome all visitors. You can just walk around and look at the cars, like David said earlier, and you can talk to the car owners and just get a feel for the vibe around there and see if you like it. I bet you do. While you're there visiting, try to visit around lunchtime so that you can do the parade laps that are normally right at noon, but it'll be somewhere around lunchtime. And then even if you're not registered for the DE, if you just want to come out and visit, do the parade laps, go ahead and stay for the evening social. We'd love, love, love to have you there. And just the instructors are all wearing instructor shirts, so you can just walk around and talk and ask questions of anyone wearing an instructor shirt or anyone else that looks interesting you want to talk to. So we would love to have you register or just show up and visit. So, do y'all want to do a DE? Anyone?
Me,
What questions do you have?
I was an easy sell, Patty.
Yeah. Okay, David, we'll let you in. I have not been monitoring the chats because I did, since my screen is shared. Have there been questions come up on chat that we need to address?
Here's a funny one. Well, I'll do the serious one first. How many slots are open in the run groups? Can't we try to The answer is it varies. In the November event, we had as many as 65 cars. Uh, but that was a little odd because we only had two run groups, and we took what's normally our advanced one and advanced two, and we put those together. And normally those could be 45, 50 each at a typical event. So that's why it was so big. We probably had 55 in intermediate solo. The novice group will probably have in the neighborhood of 40, 45, something like that. And that's very manageable at COTA. And then what are the chances this causes me to buy another car? No chance whatsoever. No, a very good friend of mine who's uh, late in life, he started in the Porsche Club. He called me, we had lunch, and he said, David, I'm going to be 65 in 2 months. If I'm ever going to have a good car, I need to buy one now. And I talked him out of a BMW into a 911. 2 years later, his wife had a Boxster S. He'd built a spec Boxster race car. And he used to love to say to me 20 years ago, David Gross, you cost me a whole lot of money. And I'd say, yeah, Ray, but you're having a whole lot of fun. He'd say, yeah, you're right. But anyway, let's see, Brian, I've done two track days. I can't scroll down here. What classifies as intermediate? That's a good thing to talk about, and I'll do it briefly. We have, when you come with zero experience, you're a novice. We then have criteria for promoting people to intermediate instructed. So you still have an instructor in the car, then intermediate solo, then to advanced. And we have a fairly long list of criteria, but the real point is you have very good car control skills before we would promote you to intermediate. You're very consistent. You know the line. You work and play well with others. You pass and you get past without incident. You're just a person that we're very comfortable sharing the track with. Okay. So it's a little tough, Brian Blasco, the way you ask it when you say I've done 2 half-track days, and you'll be doing 2 days at, I presume, in Barber, which by the way is a great place. You'll really enjoy that. If you signed, if that's before our April event, we'd probably still start you in intermediate, but if you demonstrate you're ready, start you in novice, but if you demonstrate you're ready for intermediate, we'll move you up.
So the barber will be after Snellfest, but I was thinking maybe for the fall.
Okay. And let me also elaborate on a little bit on the November versus April. April will be the 4 run group: novice, intermediate, advanced 1, advanced 2, what I'd call our regular fully instructed DE. In November, because it's done with the club race, we have 2 club race run groups. We have 2 HPDE run groups. And that's why we have 1 advanced, which is a smushing together of advanced 1 and advanced 2. And then intermediate, the other group is intermediate instructed, a few of those, and intermediate solo. So the thing is not to twist arms here, but just if you're a novice driver, you really want to come to the April event because that is your guaranteed chance to be in the novice group. And Brian, for you, with 2 half-day track days, I'll promise you're a novice driver. That's where we or anybody would put you. So there you go.
And did we answer the how close to the event does the tech inspection need to be? That's
No, why don't you answer that? I didn't.
yeah, it's typically 30 days. There's a new form that we may or may not be using for this Schnellfest that some of the forms are valid for 120 days rather than 30. And I, because COTA is so fast and so challenging, I personally would not take my car on COTA without a tech inspection immediately before it. I would never use say, oh, I had it tech inspected 3 events ago. I'm fine. I think that's a poor idea.
Right.
So it's going to depend on the form that is sent to you for the event that you register for. It's either going to say 30 days, which would be my vote because I think it's the safest way to go,
Mhm.
or it might say 120 days. Which if it's your first event, it's not going to matter. It's all going to be the same. But my concern is if someone has done 5 events, which is possible in that 120 days, I don't think it's safe for them to get out on Circuit of the Americas with a car that has not had their brake pads looked at for 5 events.
Yeah.
So that's my take. So let the correspondence that you receive be your guide. But
Yeah.
err on the side of fewer days.
Yeah, those tech inspection forms have historically always been good for an event. They're event specific. And then a group of, in the Northeast, very high population density, very high track density, they came up with the idea of let's make them good for 120 days. And as Patty said, uh, so now the National DE Tech Inspection Form says it's good for 120 days. And we, of course, have to be different. And we just say, good, it's good for 30 days with us because, you might get it inspected when you do have brake pad material and come back 90 days later and you don't, but you think, some person who doesn't really pay attention to their car might
Yeah,
just think because they're within their 120 days, they're good.
yeah. What companies provide track insurance? The company I use that I pay once a year is called Open Track, and there's Haggerty, and what else, David?
I've used a company called On Track
Oh yeah,
Insurance, and they've been really good to me. But
yeah. And the interesting thing about track insurance is, sadly, I've known some people who have had to make claims. I have never known anyone who had a had a hard time getting payout for it. So
correct, correct.
it's not like the day-to-day insurance that we all have to buy.
To me, one of the funniest things about track insurance is if you wanted to go online and start a forum and say, let's all complain about track insurance. The biggest complaint would be, I didn't do enough damage to my car because of that. It's that 10% deductible. The guy with the $100,000 car does $9,000 worth of damage.
Hmm.
And he goes, the stinking insurance didn't pay anything. It was all out of my pocket. So, but that's really a good problem because it just shows you how safe the events are.
Yeah.
Back to numbers, the registrar will assign you a number. And if you want a different number, you can write to the registrar and ask if it's available. We don't have duplicate numbers. And then John DeVinny, you asked, didn't we used to have 3 run groups in an DE event? I think we've always had 4. It's my memory.
Um, yeah. Well, it depends on where you are. Like at other places, it's green, blue, yellow, white, red,
Yeah.
and some of it. So, but I think at Schnellfest, it's been novice, intermediate, and advanced.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, Hans devices do have expiration dates, like harnesses and helmets. I will tell you the secret, since they're not required, we're not checking the expiration dates on it. And I'm not a scientist, I don't pretend to be, but my Hans device is kept in a closet out of UV rays. And although mine, I do get it recertified just because I'm an instructor and I use it all the time. If my student asks me, my Hans is a year out of date, do I need to replace it? My advice would be absolutely not. David, I don't know if you would have different advice, but the fact that you have it is more important than going out and spending another multi-$100 to get one.
You know, at one of our events, Simpson actually came and for a very nominal fee, and I think somebody talked about this in the comments, they updated your device with the
Yeah,
new slider strap and the new deals. I think it was like $95.
yeah.
But anyway, I got my Hans in 2004. So it's been updated every 5 years since. So there you
Yeah.
go.
Well, I live 15 minutes from the Simpsons store, so it's nothing for
Mhm.
me to take it and they ship it off to North Carolina and
Oh, wow.
get it redone and get
You're
it back. It's really easy, it's inexpensive.
right.
But it's not checked. And I
Yeah.
wouldn't let a year or maybe even two stand in your way of getting one.
Yeah.
That's just my personal opinion.
Yeah. Yeah. Craig asks, how fast does this kind of thing use up tires and brakes typically?
The higher you go up in the run groups, the faster you're going to go through them. Your novice weekends are probably not going to be that abusive, but the faster you go, the faster you're going to go through them.
You know, and I wouldn't use the word abuse because remember
True.
it's your foot pressing on the brake pedal. Did you plan to abuse your car this
No,
weekend? I don't abuse my car.
no.
Uh, in fact, smoothness is so incredibly important in driving. I very, very smooth. But you know, uh, what I do is I use these BF Goodrich RE71 RS. They're a R compound tire design. They're a DOT tire. You can put it on and then go straight and have your car tech inspected for a state inspection. It'll pass. But it's also a stickier rubber compound. But I get about 4 or 5 weekends on a set of those. Uh, and then on the brake pads, I get 3, 4 events on a set of brake pads, something like that.
David, I don't want to correct you, but in case
Mhm.
someone was taking notes, hanging on to your every word, did you
Yeah.
mean to say Bridgestone?
Like I said, Bridgestone. Thank you.
No, yeah. So it's Bridgestone RE71s. That's
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
so.
David and Patty, back to track insurance. It seems like there could be differing degrees of protection that you can buy. I mean, you want to protect your car, you want to protect, I guess, the track, other cars, other people. I mean, what are there different levels of protection that you recommend, or do you just look after your own car?
Well, the one that I have, there's really no option with protecting your car. It's all or nothing. And I do think you get a choice of how big your deductible is. But mine actually has track damage insurance, and that is very expensive at COTA if you run into a wall and damage it, or if you drop fluid that has to be cleaned up. So my open track insurance covers track, I think, I have some liability if I involve someone else. I'm not positive. But it also has some degree of an umbrella policy, which would be that, because I remember talking to my guy about, I've got an umbrella policy with my regular insurance, how much of that's overlapping. So there is an umbrella policy. So some kind of liability there.
Okay. All right.
But
And that helps.
yeah, but I don't know about the On Track or Haggerty or others. You probably can opt in or out of some of that stuff. Um, I don't know, Nathan, of a place in Austin where you can try on a helmet. Um, I know
So,
I just bought a new helmet and I looked at the size that I currently have, and then I followed the instructions and measured my head to make sure it was the same. And I just ordered it and it fits perfectly. So,
Is- On the question on the helmets, they're Snell approved. Is that the anti-fire as well, or does the standard motorcycle helmet work? 'Cause if a motorcycle helmet works, you could go to like Woods Fun Center or one of those places.
Hmm.
Tons of helmets.
yeah.
I don't know about that, David,
Yeah.
about motorcycle helmets.
Yeah. Here's what's interesting. You go to a place that sells both motorcycle helmets, which are Snell M for motorcycle, and automobile helmets, which are Snell SA, specialty auto. And you'll see helmets that look identical. I mean, you'll go, well, golly, like, oh, the M helmet is $550. Oh, the SA helmet is $1,100. What's the deal? And to answer your question, Brett, great question. For our DEs, an M helmet is perfectly fine. What's the difference between them? The reason that the SA helmet costs more, and by the way, if you ever decided you wanted to go PCA club racing, you will have to get an MA helmet because they M's don't work for club racing. They're fine for DE. But the difference is in the motorcycle environment, what they're planning for is one impact and you're done. You know, one impact, the impact's over, you're not going to catch on fire. In automobile racing, I've never seen a stock Porsche catch on fire in 30 years of DE. But imagine in automobile racing, if you had an impact, there could be several, I mean, had an incident, there could be several impacts as your head bounces around inside the car, and there's the potential for fire. So a SA helmet is a much more, has much more structural strength, plus all the padding, cushioning, everything is fire resistant. So that's why the one that looks just like it as an M is half the price of one that's a SA. Harness dates are checked. I'll tell you a funny story. We had a woman come down from Colorado several years ago for the club race. And Alistair Donald, our safety guru, looks at her harnesses and they're 14 years old. She's a member of whatever the Dean, Rocky Mountain PCA Club. And Alistair says, pardon me, ma'am, your harnesses are expired. They're 14 years old. She said, what? What? The point is, her home region had never bothered to check. Yeah, we're geeks. We do. And if you come with expired harnesses, we probably would let you drive once if they look good. But yeah, we do check dates. And PCA makes us check dates,
Yeah. Can you do your own tech inspection?
Uh, do you have your own professional automobile shop?
Yeah.
If you do, then you can. And there are a few cases where, people who are, mechanical engineers who really do have excellent shops. And, yeah, but I have the authority to decide who can or cannot do their own tech inspection. So if you have visit with me and I'm happy to talk about it.
Yeah.
Uh,
And there are places in Austin who will do it for free for PCA members.
yeah. Okay. Nathan Moser, saw some discussion of COTA going private in 2027. Any thoughts on the impact? Will there be HPD at COTA in 2027? The short answer is we don't know. The longer answer is a lot of the other groups, like Edge Addicts, have already written to their members and said, look, guys, we're not doing any 2027 events at COTA. It's going to become a private members only track. Obviously, it's up to COTA, but Tim Strail and I, who do these events, and Patty knows this too, we've had some discussion with COTA about the idea that, you know, a couple of times a year, you might want to have a group come out there and let those millionaires, private members, learn how to drive the 7 Ferraris they own but don't know how to drive. And and so from COTA's point of view, or this is our pitch anyway, if you have the Millionaires Club and you want, and COTA acknowledges that we are the best group for teaching people how to drive. The folks at COTA will tell you that in a heartbeat. So if they wanted to do such a thing, and devote a couple of weekends to letting their members and letting other people learn how to drive, we would be their choice. So we're hoping that we'll be able to do something in 27. But, you know, I'm kind of, you know, I remember in 2012, before the very first Formula One race in November of 12, COTA just made an announcement one weekend that we've decided we're not going to rent the track to anybody. And there was a huge public outcry, and they changed their mind, you know. So COTA will decide. So don't let the takeaway be that I think we've got some secret sauce. But I think it's too early for me to declare calf rope, you know. I'm hopeful that we'll have events in 27, but we'll see. But I would also say if you're a novice driver and you want to come to COTA to one of our DEs, I think you need to come to the April event.
Mhm. John Deviney, what about combining agreed value insurance on the track? That's what I know the track insurances I know of it is an agreed value between you and the insurer of what your car is worth. Is that what you mean? I don't know exactly what you're asking.
Yeah, that's what I was asking. I've never bought track insurance, so
Yeah.
I'm not familiar with it. And traditional insurance is usually not agreed value.
Mhm. Yeah,
Um,
they're agreed values.
okay.
Yeah, you tell them what your car's worth, you
Yeah.
know. Okay,
Okay.
what do you want to insure it for? And I think I always tell them 124 because that's what it cost. But if I
Yeah.
answered that question 155, I think they'd say, okay, your premium is, you know,
Mhm.
Right. Yeah.
proportionately higher, you know.
Yeah. Thank you.
Free inspection places in Austin. I actually know of one, and it's GT International on Breaker Lane, close to 35, and they're super nice and they do a great job. And um, free to Porsche Club members.
And
They
oh,
they
sorry.
absolutely get slammed the week before, and for all those people who don't follow my advice and wait till the last minute. And so I would encourage you to give them a little bit of, give them a few weeks before, and they'll take really good care of you.
And there's also Torque Performance on
Mhm.
290. We'll do a free inspection as well.
Awesome, good to know. I like them too.
While I'm unmuted, David, Kent and I heard this rumor that CODA's building a second track. Have you heard anything about that?
I've heard that too. And I heard it when they first talked to us about the idea of the going private, the membership club.
Mhm.
And, you know, I think it came up sort of as the idea of, okay, you people that we are turning out, but here's a track we'll have that you can rent. And that's all I know. And it could, who knows? It could be a fun track. And Crystal, I don't want our people to get the wrong impression that if COTA were to go private in 27 and we don't have events at COTA anymore, that they no longer have an opportunity to drive their cars in PCA HPDEs. Because our friends, we put on the COTA events with our friends at Lone Star Region, Houston, and Maverick, Dallas, Fort Worth. And there are two really fun tracks in Dallas, Fort Worth, neither of which is Texas Motor Speedway, a not fun track. And there's a fun track in Houston, Angleton, Motorsport Ranch, Houston. So, basically between Lone Star's events, Mavericks events, our events, people have lots of driving opportunities. And what's fun is, when you come to our events, if we have 70 instructors, 25 are from Austin, the rest are from Houston and some Dallas. You go to those Dallas events, it's the same crowd of people putting them on and instructing them. If you go to Lone Star in Houston, it's the same crowd of people. So you can have the same, experience, the same driving culture, the same friendship, fun there, whether COTA remains in operation or not. So
Yeah, that's a very good point, David, that we need to communicate that to our members, not to panic for
yeah.
2027.
Yeah,
And
don't feel like your life opportunity ends if COTA goes private in 27, because it sure doesn't.
yeah, well, I heard also that COTA has signed Formula One contract with Formula One and through 2034.
Mhm.
So be
Yeah,
some other action other than the millionaires.
that's right. They're gonna keep renting it to all their professional race groups.
Yeah.
I'm I'm just a little jaundiced about this plan if it's going to go private, because I've seen them make one plan and then, that didn't work out. Let's have another plan. So
Well, they're saying what? They're saying that the maintenance for the track is annual 14 million. So they figure if they can sell $1 million memberships annually, it's a lot easier to run the track. That's what I've heard. So
yeah, yeah. I will say this, it would probably get a lot less wear and tear on the track if you had the Millionaires Club, because the places like, Motorsport Ranch and uh, oh gosh, Harris Hill Road in San Marcos is a members club. And because my daughter is the COO, I'm a lifetime family member. I go there anytime I want to. And I was telling Patty today, I go anytime. And it's always just me out there driving. So I just wonder how much of those millionaires are really going to be out there going around and around on the track.
Any other questions? Who's ready to sign up for their first DE?
Patty, actually, I do have a point to make. Registration opens for the April event at noon Central Time on Wednesday, February 25th. And typically we'll get 85% of the whole weekend participants registration in the first 5 or 6 hours. So if you want to maximize your chance of getting in, I would recommend that at noon on February 25th, you already be logged into clubregistration.net, logged into the registration site, and have your mouse button hovering over the cursor, over the register button, and wait till about 15 seconds after noon on your iPhone to make sure you're right, and then click register. And then it's not a typing speed test. Take your time, type carefully, register, and pay.
Good point.
Your point in the registration queue is dependent upon not when you register, but when you register and pay. And the reason we do that, I sound like an authoritarian when I say this, but years ago at the old TWS events, they would let people register but not pay. And what that meant was the last 2 weeks of the organizer's job was spent calling people, hectoring them, getting them to pay. So anyway, we just say you got to register and pay. That sets you in the queue. If you register, as Barbara Streisand would say, you're dead to me. You don't pay, you're dead to me. I don't care about you. We ignore them, and there's a little perverse pleasure in getting a phone call from a guy who says, "What do you mean I'm canceled? I registered the day it opened." I said, "Yeah, but you didn't pay, knucklehead." Then they go, "Oh, thank you. Sorry." But
I think you can also set a reminder, go on Club Reg and set a reminder for the registration.
right, right. And same thing for garage priority.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to, the garages are always sell out. They're very desirable. And be sure to sign up for your garage when you register and pay for it. Same deal.
I'm sure my dentist will understand why the laptop's in my lap while I'm in his chair. So I'll see what I can do.
When we first started doing this, there were all these stories of
Oh, yeah.
doctors and executives and whatever, and they'd have their admins,
Yeah.
Dr. Schlemiel is traveling in Italy right now, but I've been tasked with the job of registering him for the DE so that he makes sure to get in.
You think we've covered all the questions? Anyone else before we sign off?
If y'all have other questions, you can reach me, David at hcrpca.org. But thank you all so much for coming out.
Yeah.
Patty, thank you for doing the yeoman's share of the work, and I appreciate it so much.
Nope. I enjoy it. Love working with you.
Crystal, Kent, thank y'all so much.
Yes.
Oh,
Thank
thank
you.
you.
No, thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. And thank you for being willing to do this as a Zoom meeting. That helps a lot. So we really appreciate you guys. And I will be there at maybe not 6 o'clock in the morning, but I will be there both days on both events, both days.
We know you will, Crystal.
Yeah.
Yes, I will. And it's not funny, but I see Patty running around and David running around, and it's just a full day of action, whether you're on track or not. So it's a fun event just to come out and watch.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you all.
Right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank
Okay.
y'all. Have a good
Uh-huh.
evening, everybody.
You too. Bye-bye. Thank you, everyone.